Welcome to The Mix, a fusion dance podcast where we dive into the world of blending dances and all that comes with it. We're talking about everything from the highs of nailing that perfect combo to the lows, emotional, and mental challenges and more. And if you're new to the dance scene, don't worry, we've got you covered with practical tips to help get you started, feel comfortable, and most importantly, have fun. So come on in. We can't wait to dance with you. Hello and welcome back to The Mix, a Fusion Dance podcast. My name is Trang.
Hello. My name is Kaylin. Welcome.
And we are talking about a topic that we're excited today, which is our practica. Some of
Woo.
the practice sessions we've been having lately, how it's been going at Fusion University. So I'm going to start off. How has it been for you? And I guess like more of like what you've learned throughout the process as I guess our perspective as facilitators, organizers, but then anything that has been surprising for you.
You know what? I've loved so much seeing the light behind people's eyes when they figure stuff out. That has been the thing. I'm like, oh, this is why we do it. This is why we suffer. Like it's so good seeing that. And like here, it feels like it's like and like I coached wrestling. I used to coach. I was like the head coach for a junior high, for like a junior high team, and it was like the same feeling, except it's a lot less painful. Where we can go through moves and go through ideas and talk about this, and then get it. And when they get it, they're just like I feel like people get so much more confident, and they get so much more like I don't know. They just glow when they feel like they've achieved, especially in something like dance. And I love that so much. That has been for sure the thing that I've enjoyed the most. And I think what surprised me is how much negative self-talk everyone else feels. And like maybe it's not like everyone, but enough people have described like what they are feeling and what they think about themselves, like when they don't get a move right or when they have a bad dance. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I was like. I've been there, and I was there for an uncomfortably long time. I think really, I've been dancing for about 10 years now. I mean, on and off, right? So it's probably closer to like 7, but whatever. Um, but I've had those periods, and like even now, I still will every once in a while have a pocket where I'm just like mentally, I'm like, yo, I'm trash, son. What's going on? It's not clicking. This is not a good night. What am I doing? I'm supposed to be the franchise player. I'm supposed to be that guy. I'm supposed to be, whatever. And then it's like, wait, hold it. That's negative. Why am I talking like that? Why am I trying to perform? Why am I stuck in that space of I have to do good instead of I have to just be myself, and also practice because that's important too, because it's really hard to be you know good at things you don't cultivate. But that I think that has been so surprising. It's just like other people experience that sort of negative, some of that negative self-talk. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if anyone has ever done client work or coaching,
Yeah.
you'll start to see a pattern of or therapy. It's like there is such a huge mental block. Like you want your client to get to this goal, but you usually have to address all these
Mm-hmm.
layers before they can get to that goal, right? So when I sometimes consult for like small businesses too and help them out, it's like they'll focus. I have to address sometimes like these mental things that come up for them, and that blocks the whole entire process to get them to launch
Mm-hmm.
something,
Mm-hmm.
right? And one thing people get really stuck on is like my logo. I want to create a logo that's perfect. And ooh, I bet you a lot of people that are some people can
Mm-hmm.
resonate and they'll be like, no, that's not important because and they get stuck there for like another 20 hours. And I'm like, no, keep going. Like you don't have to care so much about the logo right now. It's spend as
Yeah.
much time on it as like all these 10 other components, right? But addressing like why they think a logo is really important. And it's usually like things are at stake for them or they're like it has to be perfect or else something bad happens. So it's like addressing all that in order to or changing and reframing it for them in order for them to be able to do the next steps to actually get them to launch their cupcake business or whatever it is. They might be thinking about the logo and I'm like, no, you gotta be thinking about your recipe. That's a bit more important. Make sure you gotta have solid cupcakes. When we were doing these dance practicas, I kind of knew that we were going to have to address a lot of mental blockages. I didn't know the vast array of it though. Like
Hmm.
what the,
Yeah.
because you're kind of like, okay, people could all, like a lot of people think they're not good enough or, but you didn't realize like how it would manifest for all these, and for people in different ways. And then there's some
Yeah.
people where maybe they come more from a really firm dance background. So I think they have a benchmark already for like knowing where they're at. And I feel like sometimes for them, they're more of like their goals are going to be different. Like there's a certain move or a certain technique I want to drill down. And so we have to address those goals differently and speak to them differently compared to the ones that maybe have those mental blocks.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious for you, what has been, maybe what's like a highlight and what's the kind of I think you touched on the surprise part, but yeah, what's a highlight for you?
I think the biggest highlight is people realizing how fun FU is.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think
Dang.
and it's like retweaking. Sometimes I'm like, do we have to revisit to the whiteboard and retweak the messaging and everything? But the people that have come out have found it to be um, helpful, I'd say, and supportive. I think some people come in thinking it's going to be intimidating, and they didn't realize walking out of it much, how better they feel afterwards and encouraged. But also walking out with like tips and tricks as well on their dance. Um, And with each practica, people bring different energy. So it's gonna be, it depends. But the last one, it was people were hyping each other up. And it was really good to see that. And I remember one of them saying, I didn't expect it to be like this. And I was like,
Yeah.
what were you expecting? Was it going to be, like, and I think
Flipboards and
and
scowls.
and the thing that was helpful is like getting this feedback is so useful
Mhm.
for like our messaging. I know if someone's a marketer that's listening in, they're like, yes, A/B testing. Okay, but
A/B
I
testing.
know, I know. We speak the same language. But so I was like, do you feel like this is, when you were thinking practica, what did this actually feel like? And he was like, it feels more a like a jam session. And I
Yeah.
was like, huh, okay, yeah, that's a good word. I was like, it's not the word I want yet, but it's almost there.
Hmm.
And so I was
Hmm.
like, oh, maybe we should start calling it fusion dance practice jam. So because some people might feel intimidated by the word practica or like getting feedback. And he's like, well, I feel like getting feedback is great. I think if you said you're getting critiqued, that sounds different. But this feedback
Yeah.
is so helpful. And it's not just us giving feedback, it's peer feedback. And we have a rubric. We explain, there's connection, consent, musicality, movement, vocab, adaptability, creativity, and technique, right? So there's things where people excel at, like their creativity or the musicality. Their technique might be a little bit shaky. That's fine. That's fixable, right? Or sometimes, a lot of times that happens is connection and what you're listening
Hmm.
to versus what your partner's listening to, and like
Yeah.
why you guys are doing different things. And when people connect, are able to have that discussion, then things start to click more as well. And being like, oh, I do this because of that. So, and like how to listen to each other in order to have better dances as well. So I think but I think, yeah, the nice highlight is people being like, oh, cool. I want to come back because like this is helpful and it's like not it's like fun. It's not intimidating. It's not scary at all. Like I swear, I've said before, we don't bite. We really
We're
don't.
not mean people,
We're not. We're not. And
except in the mornings. But
yeah.
outside of like the mornings, we're so pleasant. We're so
Yes.
pleasant.
Between the hours of 6 a.m. and 2 p.m., do not talk to us. But yeah, I think that's been and also especially with the last session, I felt like there was it's like you see the little sparks that happen
Hmm.
for
Hmm.
community building. Like now they've been in this session, they're like they know each other more instead of just like a person that you dance with on the dance floor.
Hmm.
Um, and it's nice. It's just so nice to look at. It's because the last one I took a back seat and I was facilitating more of the music and all that kind of stuff, and who's going next. And I think that's been it was nice observing that. Mm,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I really liked being able to both do kind of like the parent share, but then also have moments where you could work on stuff that you wanted to work on. And like I think there was a question someone had where they were asking me about like one of the things that I do. Like and I just started doing lifts. Like I've been dancing for a minute. When I say just start, I mean relative to how long I've been dancing, but like it's not something I started out doing. I barely did dips, for years. So that's super recent into my dancing. But when I did start doing like lifts and dips and things, I was like, I went to the people who did them well and I would ask them. And I remember this one night that was so cool where a bunch of my friends were out. We went to this place and they were playing live music. And then afterwards, we were all just outside. I was like, hey, you did this one really cool thing. How do you do that? And he's like, what are you talking about? I was like, this thing, you do it from like right here all the time. I see you do it. And it just looks so cool. And I want to try that. And he shows me. He's like, oh, yeah, you just do this. And I kid you not, it was like, I think how many people? It was like it ended up being a group of almost what 20 or 30 people, just like all trying this, but then like sharing other things that they learned. And people were like learning different lists or different tricks or different dips or different turns. Just like it was people just sharing their skills. And it went from me getting this one skill to being like, oh, I'm gonna take that and oh, I'm gonna take this. It was like I was like, oh yeah, I'm eating good today. Like I got a mini course on like 5 different things that I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm adding all this in, and I, like that part of the community building is so cool. And even though we're still it's a little dance baby, right? We're getting there, bit by bit. I can see that happening on a larger scale and for more people, and that's just super exciting to me.
I think what's also helpful from these practicas or jam sessions is seeing where there is a need for what needs to be taught. Because sometimes there are, for classes, there's already like themes, but for us, it's kind of like seeing, like, we could have a concept, and then we're like, oh, based on this, you know what, I think, for example, there's people that don't have movement vocab like a lot. They're just like, I
Mhm.
only know like 5 moves. Like I
Yeah.
don't know, could help get like learn more patterns. But then you notice like other people are starting to have that issue too. Um, and so it's like, okay, so in the future we can have a workshop about leading, but also what you've noticed is like you wrote here to me once, like leading with confidence, how to find your voice and feel good
Ooh.
about your dancing, because
Yeah.
there is that
Yeah.
mental component with it too.
Mhm.
Like, yes, you learn the patterns, but I can feel when someone's leading me into patterns and they feel not confident. I can feel their hesitation there. It's kind of like going on a date with someone and they're kind of like sitting there really like
Yeah.
um the way they
Defensive,
talk.
cold.
Yeah, or even the way they talk, they're like, it's not confident, they're not assured, and they're like, oh, maybe, yeah, sure, yeah, and you're just like this whole conversation, I can feel it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Or actually, there's a difference between in that and versus someone you can tell when someone's just trying to figure out the like they know they've been taught the patterns and they're just trying to drill it right on the dance floor. I can feel that. It's like, okay, if someone dropped their fork and they picked it up and they put it back on their plate, and you're like, my bad. That's someone that's maybe a little clumsy. That's fine, and they're fine. But there's some difference between that and someone that drops their fork and they're like, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I did that. And then, they put it and
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
like that energy.
yeah,
It's like the energy they bring, you can feel
yeah.
it. And you're like, it's okay. Like everyone drops forks once in a while. Like
Mhm.
you don't have to feel bad or shaky about it. Like
Mhm.
just put it back on the table and
We're
then
not gonna kick you out of the dinner. Like you're
yeah.
still welcome here.
Yeah, it doesn't
It's
make you a bad
fine.
person. Like, the server won't hate you, that kind of stuff. Like it's fine, it's
Yeah,
okay. It's okay. So, yeah.
yeah. No, I think that like that's a great point to bring up because in I think the it's kind of in what I was saying earlier about like some of the surprise and some of the mental stuff is like I think there's like this sensitivity that we have as dancers where we can pick up on what the other person is feeling. And I mean, it kind of it's important. You should like there should be some level of sensitivity to pick up what the other person is feeling, right? That empathizing and having compassion and being present with them that's really important. And sometimes I think you can almost I don't want to say overdo it, but like you can pick up on too much sometimes, right? Where maybe a person is feeling something that has nothing to do with you. We did this exercise some time ago. I think we talked about it before for Red Rose, where it's just like you're essentially gonna wear a certain emotion, right? Like you might be like angry on your face, and then you go to your partner, and then your partner is trying to figure out what you are, but they're also trying to do one as well. And it was a fun game, but that exercise really showed how like what you're feeling can affect the person that you're dancing with. What you're wearing emotionally or what you're carrying can affect the person that you're dancing with. And similarly, I think that we're not always conscious of how doing the moves is one thing, but being present with ourselves is another. And we can kind of carry this like I'll speak for myself. Sometimes I've carried this like I have to be great. the dance has to be on point, right? Like this extra pressure, it's just not needed. So you ended you some people they thrive under that, right? Some people are like, oh, the lights are bright and the spotlight, the camera is on me, and I have to perform. It's do or die, and they make it. Most people freak out and freeze a little bit. If you pull a phone out in the middle of a dance while someone is grooving it in their pocket, most people are gonna be like, don't know anything. I don't know how to move. I don't know how to walk. Right. And it's just like the nervousness just like comes out. It pours out, you know, or even to that point of like dropping the fork. Like you might mess up a move and then you're like, oh, I'm so sorry I messed up. Like the dance is over. It's like, no, it's okay. It's all right. Like it's okay. We make mistakes. Stuff happens. Sometimes wires get crossed. Sometimes, you lift a hand and the person's like, oh, this means I turned. But it's like, nope, you were looking for something totally different. And it's like it's okay. It's okay to have these moments where you make mistakes. And I think that's what's so beautiful about fusion, but also what's so beautiful about life is that like there is space for us to make mistakes. There's space for us to do things different and to take what's quote unquote wrong and find a way to make it right. Like you can do something in fusion that's off. It can be off beat, it can be off time, off tempo. You can miss a turn by accident or whatever. And then as long as you and yes, that moment, right? As long as you take that moment and you carry it in, it's almost like contact improv where or jazz where it's not about what happens here and now. It's like what's the next thing that you do you play into it, right? Like there are times where you might make a mistake and you're like, oh my gosh, I made a mistake, but that mistake could be a perfect opportunity to add something in. I've gotten smacked in the face with hair so much because I forget to like duck or to move back, but I remember listening to like a song and I was like, oh, it's like a very like attitude, like dramatic type of song. I got hit in the face with hair. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna lean into that. Right. In the song, it was like I think it was about like a breakup or something. So I was like, oh, getting all dramatic and falling back. And my partner loved it, thought it was like the best thing. And I remember that reaction. I was like, I need to do this more. So if you dance with me and I'm dramatic, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's just, that's part of that. But no, I think that's one of those things about fusion and about the practice that like getting to learn and getting to see is sometimes people do need to hear that like it's okay to make mistakes and it's okay to do things that are not quote unquote right, but that doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you less than. It doesn't make you less worthy of being part of the community or being danced with or you know what I mean. It's like we're not here to scrutinize you with what we're doing, and even with FU, like we're not trying to scrutinize. We have a rubric so we can say, oh, now we have language to the things that we're working on. Now we have language to the things that we're trying to improve and do. Like I can look at myself and say, oh, my technique needs work, my balance needs work, whatever, you know. But I still have great dances. I still enjoy dancing. It's like it's not a hindrance to those things. If anything, it's a help because now I can say, now I know I need to work on my musicality. I don't slow down enough. So now I'm gonna I'm gonna improve my connection and my musicality by slowing down and matching my partner. You know?
Yeah. And I think one of the things that came up for me and other people too is
Hmm.
being present and engaged in intentionality when you dance. So, um, most people when they start dancing in the parent share activity that we do, they're dancing, but you can I like sometimes it looks mechanical and like or sometimes they're not even looking at their partner, they're looking at the ground. And I just want to be like, look at your partner, But uh but I think there's a lot obviously going on when you're leading or following sometimes too. But having that, doing like, okay, now switch over to being more engaged, not you don't have to stare at them at their eyes the whole entire moment, the whole entire song, but just being more engaged with them. Even I wasn't doing that. And I noticed when I did that, the dance felt different. I felt it felt different even from my partners. Like it's kind of like again on a date, you're on a 3-minute date and I'm kind of just staring at the table. I'm listening to you, but I'm kind of staring at the table while you're talking. And that's going to have a different feel than when I'm looking at you and being like, "Oh, cool. Yeah, tell me more about your last week for you." Okay, awesome. Cool. Like I'm not having maybe a lot of input because I'm still listening, but it's like that like you can tell I'm listening more, you know.
Yeah.
Um so that's a
It's like being on your phone with
yeah,
someone versus just
yeah.
like actually looking them in the face. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good example. So, but it's one of those things like it makes part of the dance, but that's not something you're probably gonna talk about much in class. It could be maybe a concept class. I felt like even having learning more technique, it's like I understand now how much more important technique is because your moves are more grounded, they're more controlled,
Mm,
and you end up using less energy to pull it off.
yeah. You know, and I was at a class not too long ago at Atomic, and someone had said that the technique is that's like the legibility of what you're writing, right? Like if dance is like writing, if dance is poetry, then the technique is the legibility. Because you can say something so beautiful, but if the technique is off, it's it's hard to decipher. It's hard to read it, right? So the more technique you have, the easier it is to read and to understand, and then to appreciate and interpret and respond to what it is that's happening. And I was like, dang, you cooking.
That
That was
is a
kind
good
of fire.
analogy. Yeah,
Uh-huh. It was
that
like
is.
it was like that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Mhm.
Wow. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's like that's one of those things where I'll be honest, technique is not that beautiful to me. I don't look at technique and say, "Ooh, that's what I want." But I know it's important. I know I need it. Like I know I need to work on it. And it's like having a place where I can get feedback on it with people I know have my best interest at heart is like it's different. That's one of those things I look back on where I'm like, man, I wish I had that earlier because it's like getting a private, but it's much less expensive, and it's also like there's also other people who can give additional insight where they might point out something that you didn't think of or see something you didn't see. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
I do love that component to it.
I remember watching this like podcast like a long time ago, and this guy's like, "Well, yeah, I learned a lot about business and like doing starting my own thing through a lot of like Google and YouTubing and all that kind of stuff. Like I did it on my own. But another person was like saying how coaches or mentors or teachers are important. And he's like, "But I was able to do it on my own." He's like, "Yeah, but teachers and mentors can point out your blind spots."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, okay. We all have blind spots, right? So there's something you said that I wrote down in my notes because I'm like, oh, this is such a good thing that came out of the practicas is it came to you that dancing for some people is like a conditional validation. Like you're only as good as your last dance. You're only as good as the moment the person's enjoying the dance. And if that person is for some reason no longer enjoying it, your value and your worth goes out the door. It's like this thing where I think what happens is when you tie your value, your self-worth to how many people are dancing with you, or how many times you get asked to dance at night, or how many times you get complimented. It's like this insecurity that your value, your worth, your ability to lead as a dancer defines if you're good enough for someone to like or to love or to care for. It's like a performance-based relationship with this. That's what it is, a performance-based
Yeah,
relationship with this. So I
yeah.
think that's one of the reasons people have such a hard time with the idea of the word practica or the idea of it is because they think, oh, I'm going to get evaluated, scrutinized, and found to not be good enough. I'm going to be deemed unworthy.
That's it's funny. It's funny that I wrote that because like I remember
You
that
didn't write that.
place.
You sent me like a mini audio podcast
Ah, whatever.
and you were
Voice
like, I'm
note.
driving my car
Right.
and
It's
this
the
is what
same
came to
thing.
me.
It's the same thing. It's from my soul. It's my soul speaking using a different medium, whether it's the medium of the dance floor or the medium of the voice note. No, no, no. But real talk though, yeah, it's like yo, I'm way too sassy. I gotta chill. No, but it's like I think that has been a place that so many people have been in, and that I've been in, where we have this idea that like we have to perform and we have to earn love, or we have to earn attention, or we have to earn care. Like, because I think that's what the core thing is. A lot of folks who are creative at heart have this like negative relationship with their art and with their creativity because they feel like they've been pushed and forced to earn attention. And it's like, no, what you're doing is beautiful. What you're doing is meaningful. It matters to you. And while there are things that you want to bring into what you're doing, or people you want to bring into and you want them to understand and appreciate and connect to you, your value and your worth is independent of the things that you produce. Like your value and your worth is already there. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I think like it's so hard sometimes to get that because all of the messaging that we hear often tells us to try harder and to earn more and to do this and to do that. So we end up hearing these performance based messages that get deeply, deeply encoded in us, and we hold on to those. But then we're told, "Oh, it's okay. You're enough. You're this," and it's like I don't believe it because you hear this other message again and again and again and again and again. But when you break out of that mold, and it does take work, it definitely took me work to get out of that mold. You start to really realize and see that when you don't do it for the sake of performing, that's where you perform at your best. It's like that. It's this weird sort of conundrum. It's this weird thing. But yeah, it's like the less you try hard, the better it turns out. But you still do have to apply yourself, right? You apply yourself, you get better, you can express yourself more, but you can still experience deep joy without having to do all those things. Mm.
I remember seeing this comment on YouTube from a TEDx talk, and it was saying an example of trying to explain what worth is. And so sometimes we're like, oh, this person isn't worthy of living, or this person should be, like, humans are interesting. Where he's like, this person is deemed more important because they're maybe a CEO or they have like done more in life. And this person is getting an example of like holding a newborn baby. It's like, is this child worth saving? Is it worth living? It was just born. And it was just to show people that just its existence and just the newborn baby as self is worthy. And the comment was more eloquent, but I remember thinking like, wow, that made me shift my perspective on like what being worthy of just who you are.
Mm.
Like you stripped off all your hobbies of everything else and just you who you are is worthy enough already.
When I first got into social dance, and especially in the South Side, I was like, I didn't go to classes because where I lived, I didn't have access to classes. I also didn't have a car, and I was a broke college student, so got to do what you got to do. But I had friends who were dancers, and I mean, I don't, say I'm not going to say that this is like the end all be all, but YouTube Academy is free, and there are amazing resources there that you can watch. I mean, watching dance videos is really good. Watching technique videos is really good. Even if you're only getting the intellectual part, like the mental side of it, it's still there somewhere. But I had friends who were dancers, like friends who were dance majors or who grew up dancing or whatever, and I was like, hey, which could you are you okay with practicing? Like if we can get a little group together, or even if it's just like one person or two people or whatever, like are you and more times than not, I'd get these like overwhelming yeses because they were like, "You're a guy and you want to practice dance?" And I'm like, "Yes, is that not a thing?" And they're like, "No." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I let's go." So I got to get better practicing, and I had ideas, so I'd like watch videos, or I was a whole dance nerd. I mean, I still am. So I would take like I had like a flow chart where I'd be like, all right, so I have this move, this turn can turn into this move. So I can go from here into a hammer lock. And that hammer lock can go into this hair comb. And the hair comb can go into so I was like, I started doing that. And then when I had a person that I could practice with, I would just be like, all right, does this work in real life? Okay, it does. Cool. And then, I kind of went from there. And like that, I mean, that was how I learned when I first got into it. So, maybe you don't have a practica available or you don't have like, things like that, but there are definitely people who are open to learning, and going to classes is great. Going to, if you can like, use those resources. But if you don't have it, you can still find ways to cultivate your dancing and cultivate what you want to grow and what you want to get out of it. It's like I look at it like do the best you can with what you have until you can do better, you know? Cook with what's in your kitchen. When you can get better ingredients. But because you've been cooking and doing the most with what you have, you're gonna get the most out of yourself. And it doesn't mean that that like it's gonna be perfect or that it's gonna be all those things. It's like it probably won't be, right? Like you're still learning and developing and growing. And even if you're an advanced dancer, you're still learning and developing and growing. I still feel like I'm learning and developing and growing, and I've been doing this for like a decade and some change. So, on and off again, but yeah, it's like okay, we're still growing. Like I'm like, oh, I'm trying to learn light feet and like two other things right now. It's tricky. That's hard. It's a lot of ankle ankle like ability and everything. But Yeah, that's my last thing, I guess. You got anything else for the good people listening?
Nope. No, I'm good.
Okay, well, thank you so much for checking us out. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the podcast. If you can, please give us 5 stars on Spotify. It helps us so very much. Also, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please drop a comment on Instagram because we are trying to get our engagement up. We would greatly appreciate that. You can hit us up at Fusion Dance Podcast on Instagram. Also, check out our dance university for more info on our practicas and things at Fusion University.
And with that, remember that dance is something you do, but it does not define you. It's not a
Mhm.
measure of your value. You're already enough. Thank you for being here with us, and we'll see you next time.